Hey everybody, it's Rod from Civil Advantage Firearms here again. Today we're going to do a little discussion about SKSs. So first thing is, as you guys already know, my reviews are buy, don't buy reviews. I'm not a history buff when it comes to firearms. I just like shooting them, like owning them. So it's going to be kind of I've got 4 different SKSs here. We're going to take a look at them, see what the differences are, just so you know what you're buying if you're out there looking at a couple different SKSs, especially if they're from different vendors and different descriptions and stuff. So we will get into it. So I got into SKSs a little bit early in my firearm journey. Why? Because they're very inexpensive. So an SKS is a semi-automatic 7.62 by 39 millimeter rifle. They are a combat rifle, as it were. I'll pick this guy up here. But they are substantially old. So SKSs, the original design was done in 1943. This is a while back. And subsequently adopted by the Soviet Army in, I believe, 1945. So that's where the name SKS-45 comes from. And they were in service into the early to mid-50s. So it was a really well-designed rifle. It had some slight disadvantages, only to be replaced by the AK-47. But in any case, a lot of countries made these. Some of them authorized to make them by the Soviet Union, and some not authorized. So there's a variety of these things around. A good rifle design, that's why they're still made even today by some manufacturers. So let's talk about a couple of them. Okay. The thing about SKSs is that you can see a lot of differences in them. So when they're sold, they can be sold with a beech wood stock, hardwood, laminate, with an aftermarket stock kit, all the stuff on them, and they're all kind of different. A lot of people are like, what's the difference? Why is one more expensive than the other? Well, SKSs are real old, as we mentioned, so they've been around a long time, meaning that you can get a rifle that was shot once or not ever shot, or you can get a rifle that was used in training that was, had the heck shot out of it, beat up, to the point where it's almost worthless, but still it makes its way to Canada or any other country that wants to buy them used. In Canada, we're paying about $200 for these things. So let's start with the regular hardwood stock. So here's a typical, this one's a 1952. You'll find the year marked on top of the recoil spring cover here. It's not on all of them, I find, but some of the older ones you can find that still stamped in there, and this one says 1952. This is your regular hardwood stock, so this is going to be a less expensive model. And when you look at it, I mean, I still think it's a nice rifle. It is wood. But here's something interesting. Even with an old rifle like this, and you put something like this new Tapco plastic stock on here, what I found is the wooden stock takes a lot of the vibration out of shooting it. So in short, I found that the wooden stock shoots smoother and a lot more enjoyable to shoot than the plastic stock. Now, I'm going to be honest, I don't know if it's my imagination or not, but what was interesting is these are the first 2 SKSs I ever bought, right? I have 2 arms, I needed 2 SKSs. So I got both these bad boys, and I had bought plastic stock kits for both of them. So I had them both, and this was my sort of early attempt to have a fighting rifle, which, these things are way too heavy, really, if you think of it in terms of nowadays. But in any case, I actually changed one of the plastic stocks back to wood because it really changes the way that the rifle felt when I shot it. If you guys have experience with that, if you say, yeah, that's the same thing for me, or I know why, please put that in the comments. I love getting lots of comments and spreading some knowledge because I'd like to know too. But I find that it shoots a lot better with the wood. In any case, back to it. I bought these, and these are just the typical hardwood. When I got them, there was a shortage of SKSs in Canada at the time, and this was the first big shipment that had come in quite a while. What I know now, now I know a little better, I can tell what a beat up SKS looks like. So I'm going to tell you what you want to do in that regard is to check them out when you buy them. When you buy them, you want to look at the bolt face and see if it's been fired a lot. You'll see that wear on the bolt face. You'll also see wear on the metal parts. It's almost like looking at an old car or a new car, old car versus new car. Also, the most important thing, I'm not even really going to get into that so much because I'm not a gunsmith, but what is the most important thing? Check it for any ammunition in the bore, and look down the barrel to see if there's any rifling in there. That is the biggest single issue. Now, I bought these two SKSs pretty much at the same time. With either of these firearms, I can't hit anything. They shoot all over the place. Little did I realize, hey, good idea is to look down the barrel to make sure there's some rifling in there. So you can actually find these rifles with almost smooth bores. A lot of them are chrome lined, which is great because you are shooting corrosive ammunition out of these things. It's the cheapest ammunition available and it's really reliable. So we're going to continue to shoot that corrosive ammunition, but make sure that you look down the barrel before you buy these things. So you have your regular hardwood. These tend to be the least expensive. And I actually don't think that they're that ugly, to be honest with you. So I don't know why they're that much less expensive. Then you have an SKS is called the laminate stock version. Now I did just recently pick up a laminate stock version. And you know what, I'll be honest, it is kind of a little bit nicer. It's a nicer looking rifle. This one in particular, I did have the option of inspecting a whole bunch of them right out of the crates and choose the ones that I wanted, which was kind of good. But when you look at the laminate stock, it's a little bit nicer, and this batch of them, the parts are all brand new. I can tell the bolt hadn't been fired, and plenty of rifling in the barrel. So the one thing about this batch was no stamp on the receiver, on the recoil spring cover. So that was kind of interesting. Nonetheless, is it worth the extra money for a laminate stock? I don't know. Hard to say. Your guess is as good as mine. It's a nicer looking gun. If you really wanted to keep it for a while and treat it well, maybe it's worth it. Here, as I mentioned, I've got the newer plastic stock. This is a Tapco one, and they're good. They do make the rifle, in my opinion only, they do make the rifle a little bit nastier to shoot, a little more vibration and whatnot, but you end up with a rail. You can get them with rails underneath, and you put flashlights and stuff like that. Concerning accessories, I'm going to just jump off topic again for a second. There are different ways that you can mount a scope on SKSs. One of the ways is to put a pistol scope up front here, right? Because this pistol scope has a longer eye relief so that your eye can get a full sight picture through the scope if it's farther away. Don't try to put a traditional scope that far because you'll never see through it, obviously. There's also scope mounts you can get on this part of the rifle. And what I found with those is that when the bolt is in the rearward position, this plate can move around. So if this plate is moving around and that's your scope mount, your scope is moving around. So if you're looking for an accurate gun by mounting the scope back here, I think you might be a little bit disappointed. So you'll definitely want to be mounting it up front if you can. Last but not least, I think you guys have seen this one before. This is the Chinese version. And as I said in a previous review, and I think it was on the survival rifles video, I'm really pleased with this Chinese SKS. These are never fired guns. They're brand spanking new. I think the wood is the finishing is, I think, quite nice on them. They are a little bit slimmer profile here than the Russian ones. It has a spike bayonet instead of that big blade bayonet on it. Other than that, they're in really great shape. They're gorgeous. They're a brand new rifle and chrome lined barrel. And again, they're $200. They're around the same price. So I'm actually really happy with this one. This one has worked flawlessly for me. So I'm not going to say anything bad about the Chinese version of them. Now I have heard, there's always lots of things you hear about firearms, but do your best to disseminate what's accurate and what's not. But I hear that the Russian ones, the metallurgy is better than the Chinese version. And there's also some issues with barrels, how the Chinese versions had their barrels attached to the receiver. But in any case, I would go along with the Russian ones being better as far as manufacturing standards because they were manufactured as their service rifles. So, I might go along with that. One of the other things you might find interesting with these guys is here on the stock, when you get one of these and you inspect it, look for information here on the stock. So this one has a bunch of X's punched into the wood here. Now I've heard lots of stories of what those X's mean. One guy wants to say, hey, these are how many hits that the soldier scored, and this is his kill ratio or kill rate or whatever, which of course is ridiculous. But I've heard someone else say if you see X's on here, this one's been issued, or I've also heard someone say if you see X's on here, it's been refurbished. In any case, you really can't control that because these guns are so old, and they come from Russia, and who knows what process they went through. Again, just look at the condition of the rifle. look at the bolt. You know, you can't really see this on the video, but if I take this brand new Chinese version, and somehow you can see that bolt there, and then I look at the gun, forget the stock for a second, I look at the gun that I got, which was one of the old Russian ones, you can see this bolt is just beat up, and it's been painted, you know, But anyway, it's been painted, and see a lot of dings and nicks and scratches on the receiver that have been painted over. It's been repainted black and stuff. These are the things you want to watch out for when you're buying them. As far as how they shoot, I think they're awesome. They shoot a big bullet, 7.62 by 39. As far as accuracy is concerned, I've had people tell me that their SKSs are really, really accurate. I haven't had the same luck. The only good accurate SKS I had was the brand new one. The other two here are terrible. I'll tell you flat out, they're just awful. But I did get this new laminate version. This one hasn't been shot yet. So this one's basically brand new, as it were. Rifling looks awesome in it, and the bolt has 0 marking. So I think the bolt is new. That's been retrofitted or refurbished, as it were. And same thing with the bolt carrier. So this one probably would be real accurate. So in any case, just a quick kind of discussion. Should you buy an SKS for $200? Absolutely. They are absolutely reliable. If you take care of them, you clean them after you use them. If they have a chrome lined barrel, you don't even really have to worry. Just get some warm water, flow it through the barrel. Don't let it get into the gas piston. Dry it out and put lots of oil in it, and then wipe that oil out when you're ready to use it. There's different ways to clean them, but for a $200 rifle, I'm just telling you that's how I do it. Other than that, relatively low maintenance, extremely reliable, relatively accurate, and tons of fun. They shoot really cheap ammunition as well. So hopefully that gives you a little bit of information about the SKS, whether you're thinking of buying one. Again, I highly recommend them. For $200, buy 2 or 3 of them. You know, they're not going to be around forever, and you know, firearms don't go bad, especially when they come coated with cosmoline, as they do most often. In any case, if you have information about the SKS, feel free to comment below. I'd like to learn more about it myself. Other than that, you can see us on the web at www.civiladvantage.com, and we'll see you next time.